Well, welcome to the 700 Club. With just 2 weeks to go until the midterms, all eyes are on Georgia. Voters there are choosing both a senator and a governor.
The governor's race is a rematch between Republican Brian Kemp and Democrat Stacey Abrams. It's a battle that voters on the left hope will turn the Peach State from purple to blue. Matt Galka reports from Atlanta.
Democrat Stacey Abrams almost pulled off the win here in Georgia just 4 years ago, and since then, the Peach State has sent 2 Democratic senators to Capitol Hill. But this time around, Brian Kemp is polling ahead pretty consistently, and he's pretty popular around here in Georgia. Still, anything can happen with just 2 weeks to go.
To the next governor of Georgia, Stacey Abrams.
In the search for support, Stacey Abrams traveled to deep red Cherokee County, about an hour north of Atlanta. Polling suggests she needs help with a real clear politics average showing Brian Kemp with a 7-point lead. The incumbent has hit Democrats hard on record inflation and high prices throughout the election cycle.
They're mad about gas taxes. They're mad about how much they are spending now at the grocery store, even if they can find supplies. They're worried about the supply chain bottleneck as small business owners, and they're worried about the federal government spending more money when we have 40-year high inflation right now.
While Georgia Democrats saw an opportunity to fire up their base after the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, recent comments by Abrams linking abortion to inflation threw some water on that hope.
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
Now you have the Democratic Party that's using the economy, which in large part is driven by their own policies, as justification for abortion on demand.
Still, Abrams hasn't shied away from making the issue a central theme.
If you are a woman, he has attacked the very nature of our ability to be self-governing. He has taken away a woman's right to choose in the state of Georgia, and he has said he's not done.
Can I just ask you one question?
Thank you.
Although she didn't take questions, it's clear the message is still resonating with her supporters.
I think women should have a choice over what we do with our bodies. I believe in abortion, if that's what a woman and her doctor wants.
Are you worried that she might lose again, or are you?
No, not really. No. She got it. She got it. She has it. She got it in the bag.
There's still a feeling the race could tighten given Georgia's record early voting numbers for a midterm election. Around 1 million people have already taken advantage, and at this point in 2018, that number was around half that total. And in the final stretch, Georgia Democrats are bringing in some big names, including some celebrities. Oprah has already campaigned for Stacey Abrams, and former President Barack Obama will be in Atlanta on Friday. Gordon?
Well, let's look at the dramatic increase in early voting from 2018. It's more than double. So who does that help, and what does it tell us about the overall election?
Well, I think if you're a Democrat in Georgia and you're looking at those numbers right now, you're probably very encouraged because early voting typically skews left, where a lot of Republican voters, they like to vote on Election Day. But that's also a little misleading because it's not like Republicans are telling their supporters to stay home. Plenty of Republicans are voting early. So I think if you're a Democrat, you probably think you're in better shape, especially if these numbers keep pace with a presidential year, this being a midterm year. You don't usually see numbers like this, so you're encouraged. But I think Republicans, maybe they're a little worried, but at the same time, they know they're getting votes too. So I think both parties are pretty happy today.
All right. Well, Stacey Abrams she's certainly known for turnout the vote and for voter registration. At the same time, there were accusations that Georgia's voter reform law would restrict access to the polls. So how have the higher voter turnouts affected those claims?
If you're a Republican in Georgia today, you're probably sitting around saying, and a lot of them have already said, I thought we were told that our bill was going to suppress the vote, and here we are breaking numbers, or breaking records. It's a hard point to argue against, but we did talk to a voting rights group yesterday that said, look, we are happy about the numbers. We're doubling from 2018 for early voting. But the quote that they said that kind of stuck with me was, just because we got over the hurdle and got to the goal doesn't mean we didn't have the hurdle. You have a lot of Democrats who are still doubling down on what they had said before, that this would suppress the vote despite these record-breaking numbers, because they still believe there are barriers and hurdles in place because of that bill that shouldn't be there. But still, it's hard to argue. They are breaking records. They have record-breaking numbers despite this bill that they said would suppress the vote.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Senate race. Where does it stand, and what are you hearing from the campaigns?
Yeah, if you look at any poll over the last month or so, it's virtually tied. Herschel Walker and Senator Raphael Warnock are tied. And if you're Herschel Walker, you have to be over the moon with that. There's been a lot of money spent against you by the incumbent, Senator Warnock. There's been a number of reported controversies attached to your campaign, but there he is, either in striking distance, tied, or maybe ahead, depending on the day and depending on the poll. So we were at a Warnock event just the other day, and I did ask him about the strategy and the polling and how it looks right now. I mean, he is the incumbent. The incumbent usually has the advantage, but here you are tied. He barely mentions Herschel Walker's name on the trail. The ads hit a little harder, citing some of those reported controversies in Walker's personal life. But he chooses to stay positive on the trail. And I think a lot of that has to do with a couple of things. He is a pastor, is a practicing pastor, he's a man of faith, and I think the faith community and overall voters in general are tired of negativity, so he tries to highlight some of his accomplishments in Congress. And at the same time, Herschel Walker, also a man of faith who talks openly about his faith journey. I think he also wants to talk about what he will do better rather than going low. So the negativity, at least in person, has been at a minimum, maybe surprising in some of these campaigns. But it'll be really interesting to see. We're going to be at a Herschel Walker event today. He's bringing in Senator Lindsey Graham to help give his campaign a little push as we head into the home stretch here. Hard to believe that there's under 2 weeks to go.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks for the report. And let me underline, yes, there's just 2 weeks to go. And if you haven't heard, there's an election coming up. Please make sure that you vote. I'm not about to tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you that if we have an overwhelming turnout, then all the questions about election integrity and freedom to vote and voter repression, all of those things go away because the people will have spoken. In other news, President Biden is warning Russia that using nuclear weapons in the war on Ukraine could be an incredibly serious mistake. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. Accusations from Russia that Ukraine plans to use a radioactive dirty bomb is causing concern in the West, not because they believe the claims are true, rather because it might be a cover for Russia to use such a weapon. CBN's Charlene Aaron has the story.
Russian officials claim Ukraine is about to use a dirty bomb in its war with Russia. But Ukraine and the West say it might be a ploy by the Russians to set off their own dirty bomb and then blame Ukraine, giving Vladimir Putin cover to retaliate with nuclear weapons. Tuesday, President Biden issuing a stark warning.
Russia would be making an incredibly serious mistake if we're to use a tactical nuclear weapon. I'm not guaranteeing you that it's a false flag operation yet. Don't know. But it would be a serious, serious mistake.
A dirty bomb uses explosives to scatter radioactive waste in an effort to sow terror. The Pentagon, along with other countries, including Britain and France, also strongly refute Russia's claims.
I think that the U.S. government writ large has communicated to Russia the concerns that we have with the language that we've seen, the nuclear saber rattling, as well as condemning these false allegations that Ukraine is building a dirty bomb.
Ukraine officials say Russian forces have performed secret work at a nuclear plant they hold near Zaporizhia and are preparing a terrorist act using nuclear materials and radioactive waste stored there. Unable to confirm the allegations, the U.S. is keeping an eye on the situation.
We have not seen at this time, though, any indication that Russia has made a decision or intends to employ nuclear weapons or a dirty bomb. But again, it's something that we'll continue to watch closely.
Meanwhile, a group of progressive Democrats has retracted a letter to the White House urging President Biden to engage in peace negotiations with Russia. The letter, written in June but made public Monday, sparked a major uproar to expose rifts within the Democratic Party just days before the midterm elections, where Democrats may lose control of the House. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
All right, thanks, Charlene. Well, an update now on the controversy surrounding Kanye West and his anti-Semitic remarks. Shoemaker Adidas has severed ties with the rapper who now calls himself Ye. Adidas taking the step under growing pressure, calling his comments, quote, unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous. Adidas has been criticized for taking too long to act, though. The Gap clothing company and West's talent agency have also ended their business relationship with him. The World Jewish Congress applauded Adidas for the move, but criticized the delay. In the United States, Gordon, as you well know, and as we've reported here on CBN News, hate crimes against Jews have surged since 2020.
They've gone up every year since the FBI was required to record religious hate crimes, and it's absolutely staggering the number of hate crimes targeting Jews right here in America. Anti-Semitism is unacceptable anywhere in the world, but especially here in our democracy, where we value freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, we value freedom of religion. We want people to have any belief, and to have this kind of anti-Semitism from a public figure and then absolutely chilling the banner on a overpass in L.A., with people giving a Nazi salute. What in the world is going on with that? And you have to tag it for what it is. It is absolutely evil. The rabbis say that in every generation there comes a Haman who tries to wipe out the Jews. Are we seeing that in our own generation, in our own country? This should not be. Let us pray for the protection of our synagogues, for everyone in our country. Let's make sure that this kind of expression is, no, we don't discriminate. We don't attack Jews. That is unacceptable.